Thank you so much, Justin, for taking that up. And now we have, RK. Hi, thank you for joining us. Let's take up locations. I heard there's been a rise in RFEs related to specialty occupation lately. My job title is, data analyst. And how likely is that I'll get an RFE? And how should we prepare proactively to avoid a denial?
So that SOC code, if I remember right, which I just cheated. I don't have a photographic memory. I use the powers of Google. That's an operations research analyst. So an operations research analyst is an okay SOC code. It's not a terrible one. It's decent, and it would lend itself likely to a data analyst. So specialty occupation under the new regulations. Basically, requires a degree in a specific specialty or a degree that's rationally related to the duties that are being performed. When you're looking at specialty occupation, you kind of look at, as a basis, what is it that the ONET shows the position is doing in the OOH, and what does the ONET and OOH say about what the position typically requires. So just looking at this right now, the Operations Research Analyst SOC code is actually in Job Zone 5, which is extensive preparation needed. So if you look at the education requirement, most of these occupations require graduate school. For example, they may require a master's and some require a PhD, an MD, or a JD. That's all fantastic language that you could use in an RFE response. Right off the bat, you take the weapons that the government tries to use against you, the OOH and ONET, and you push them back in their face and say, by your own standards, these jobs under this SOC code typically require a degree in this field. Another thing that I like to look at when I look at the educational requirements for the field, if you look at this SOC code, I mean, it's fantastic. There's no degree here that's below a bachelor's. 33% bachelor's, 43% master's, 14% doctoral degree. Everyone that does this position needs a degree. And as long as the degree requirements rationally relate, it's a specialty occupation. So I would say you're in a solid SOC code. As long as your job duties properly line up, I think you're in a great spot. I wouldn't be too worried about a specialty occupation RFE. Now, that being said, I will tell this to everyone that is watching today, and anyone who watches a recording of this in the future, because I'm just telling everyone, even if you have strong evidence, I think it is worth getting an evaluation moving forward. There's no reason not to get a specialty occupation evaluation going forward. Here's why. Specialty occupation, there's 4 different categories that you can qualify. In each category, you're going to provide evidence. USCIS may or may not push back to an extent on each level of evidence, but it's the preponderance of the evidence standard. And the more strong evidence you have, the closer you push over that, more likely than not threshold. A really strong tool in that regard is an evaluation. An evaluation from a professor at a university who teaches in a field that is logically related to the type of work being done. I would recommend getting those, especially for people that are in quota this year. I cannot begin to explain how heartbreaking a situation it is when you are picked, you get an RFE, and you get a denial, because it is just so finite, that opportunity to be chosen in the lottery, that there is no reason to hold back if you have the opportunity to strengthen an argument. So what we do, I'm not going to hand you guys my whole legal playbook. If you want to come have us do an RFE response, you call us or send us an email. But what we do is we trim the situation. We do certain things so that the evaluator has as strong amount of information to draw upon when putting the eval together as possible. We have that eval, we have it packed into the response, we sprinkle it throughout, and then we also hit these points like for an operational research analyst, the high level degree requirement, the job zone level 5, all of that. That all is to say, to put a button on this. I think you're fine. I would still get an evaluation or an RFE response though, just to be on the safe side. But I try to be a straight shooter on it. If I don't like an SOC code, I'll tell you, this one seems fine. The problem is, kind of going back to what we were talking about previously, this is a good SOC code, but you're going to see people try to put a square peg in a round hole, or however the saying is. You're going to try to have people fit positions into this that don't fit. So you might have somebody who says, well, I got a computer systems analyst, but I don't like that SOC code, so I'm going to claim they're an operations research analyst. And then if the job duties don't match up, goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, the issue of an SOC code mismatch. So it's all part of the game and the calculus there. But yeah, you're fine as an operations research analyst. I think as long as your job duties make sense to the SOC code, I wouldn't worry too much, even if you did get an RFE.